everyone, Grand Rising. Thanks for tuning Blaque in once again to Authentic Black Goddess TV. I'm your host, QueenAShakue, and this is your morning wake-up call. So as you're coming in, please feel free to go ahead and subscribe to the channel. If you haven't done so already, be sure to click the notification bell and click the word all so that you're notified each time Queen Goddess goes live. All right? Shout out to everyone in the chats and everyone tuned in to the Queen. Okay, so let's just get into it, people. Let's just get into it. So, a few weeks ago, Kevin Hart, right, did a skit where they were recreating Different Strokes, an episode from Different Strokes, and he was supposedly playing Gary Coleman. And there's a scene where John Lithgow, who was playing Mr. Drummond, picked Kevin up and carried him across the room and then sat him on his lap. And though some people may have thought that was funny, I didn't. I didn't think it was funny at all. I thought it was very sad. First of all, Kevin Hart is a millionaire, a multimillionaire, right? And so the fact that he continues to do these things that remind me of a minstrel show from 40 plus years ago, or more than 40, maybe 60 plus years ago, it just boggles the mind. Like, why is he still doing this foolishness? You know, I don't know if Kevin bothers to think deeply about some of the things that he does and how it really affects his people, especially young Black men, young Black boys, his own son even. Because when you see a grown behind Black man being carried across a set by a white man, and then he sits on that white man's lap like that's his zaddy, that's akin to buck breaking as far as I'm concerned. What's the difference? He's belittling himself, right? Allowing himself to be degraded. I mean, it's bad enough they had him do a Saturday Night Live skit where he dressed as a little girl. Remember, he played the little 9-year-old girl in the little purple dress and all of that foolishness after he said that he'd never wear a dress. And well, I guess they showed him that he absolutely will do whatever they tell him to do. This just proves to me, yes, True Justice, that is buck breaking. Absolutely. See, here's the thing. It just proves to me that Kevin Hart is, in fact, willing to do just about anything to make a buck. And sadly, a lot of Black people are. A lot of Black people are willing to do just about anything to make a dollar. Well, I'm not going to do anything to make a dollar. That's what I'm not going to do. And here's the thing. Pay attention, because the oppressive class is what we'll call them. They love to depict Black men as being weak, fragile, submissive, docile, you know, cowardly, childlike. That's why they like to call them boy. Racists love to call Black men, grown Black men, boy, right? And then they love to try to treat them like that. And Kevin, he just feeds into that foolishness. Brandon says Kevin Hart jokes about his jokes been buck broken to me because he never been funny to me. Only thing funny is his height. That's it. Well, you know, he's funny sometimes, I would say. But at the end of the day, these things that he does, this is not funny at all. This is not funny. Him dressing, wearing a dress and acting like a little Black girl, that's not funny. Him allowing himself to sit on this white man's lap, that's absolutely not funny. And I really wish people like him who think like him and who feel like, you know, they have to just bow down and kiss the ring and just do whatever the white man tells them to do to get their money. I wish they would really stop doing that, because you can have all the money you want, but if nobody respects you, if people take you as a joke, if your own people call you a Sambo and a coon, that doesn't mean anything to you. Well, apparently it doesn't mean anything to Kevin. Excuse me, Swirl Girl says he's not funny. And you know what? He's funny looking. But I'll say this. I'm just so sick and tired of grown Black men allowing themselves to be subjugated and allowing themselves to be used as tools of wannabe supremacy and allowing themselves to have the world look at Black men as being weak. I mean, that's essentially what he's doing. Now, they could have done that whole scene and alleviated that part. They could have done the whole scene, and that part didn't even have to be in there. Didn't have to even be included. Why was it included? Well, it wasn't just for kicks and laughs. It wasn't just for that. It was to show black men, to show a black man being led along on a leash by a white man. That's what that was. And Kevin Hart is just foolish enough to continue to do these things because, one could argue that, oh, he's trying to make his money or whatever, but he's already made his money. He's continuing to make money. And at some point, when do you just stop the whole charade and the facade? When do you just stop being used as a puppet? When do you grow a pair? When do you do that? When do you stand up for yourself and say, you know what, I'm not going to do this anymore. That's what I'm not going to do. You're not going to keep using me to try to degrade other black men who look like me. When is he ever going to say that? Sadly, he never will. He's gonna end up being like another Oprah, right? Gayle King, Tyler Perry. A lot of these black people who make millions of dollars, and I know some of you admire them, and that's all fine. But when you look at how they acquired their money, are you really that excited about that? Are you a fan of how they rose to their stardom and acquired their cash? Because I'm not. Because Oprah has pretty much made her living off of degrading black men. She allowed those two thugs to come on her show and lie about Michael Jackson and say the most depraved things. And she knew they weren't true. She knew they weren't true, but she gave them a platform anyway. You see, what the elite do is they take a few select Negroes and they use them as the gatekeepers. They use them to push narratives on the rest of black people, and especially and specifically black men. They don't want to show strong black masculine men who are defiant against a system of wannabe white supremacy. They don't want to depict them. They'd rather show the Terry Cruzes. Terry Crews, a big, buff, strong-looking black man. Strong-looking. And I say he's strong-looking because if you just looked at him, yeah, he looks like he's strong, right? But he's buck-broken. We've seen him out here, with makeup on his face, rollers in his hair, wearing a dress, shucking and jiving, throwing other black people under the bus. But he let a white man grab him in the biscuits, and he didn't do a thing, did he? But he said he slapped D.L. Hughley for asking him why he didn't do anything about what the white man did to him. Isn't that something? A bunch of Negroes going around acting as Sambos, coons, and buffoons, and they don't have any problem with themselves. And some of us continue to support them in their coonery. And I frankly have had enough. I have absolutely had enough. Because I thought it was real sickening, and Kevin Hart should be ashamed of himself. I mean, what does he think his son is thinking when he looks at that, when he saw that scene? Did he think his son was proud of him? Maybe his son was. Maybe he's taught his son. I don't know. But maybe he's taught his son that it's okay to be docile, to be humble, and to bow your head, and to not speak up or stand up for yourself. Maybe he's taught his son it's okay to be subjugated, to be treated like a slave, like your ancestors were. Maybe he's taught his son that. I don't know. But that's what he's teaching your children who are watching him when he's doing this kind of stuff, just so you know. That's what he's trying to teach them. That it's okay to let the white folk lead you. It's okay to let them pet you on the head like you're a dog. It's okay for them to treat you like you're a little boy when you're a grown man. It's really sad. It's really sad. See, Mommy Max says they took the Queen and King emojis from my phone. They did? I hadn't even noticed, beloved. True Justice says, facts, Queen, exactly what the F he's going to tell his kids. Yes, it seems that's what he's telling them, right? Because clearly he has no shame for the things that he's doing. And the thing is this, he has all of this money. And maybe that's just enough for him. I mean, some people figure if they're rich and they can buy and afford anything they want, that they don't have to have morals or good ethics, that they don't have to be socially responsible for the things that they're doing and how other people's children may look at that. So one day it's going to come back around, Queen. Yes, I absolutely think so. I absolutely think so. And I'm just really over it at this point because, like I said, when we have strong, masculine Black men, what does the oppressive class try to do? They try to shame them. They try to bring them down. They try to accuse them of having toxic masculinity, right? They try to call them homophobic because they may not agree with men being effeminized, right? And here's the thing. When you see how they tear down strong Black men who are proud of being Black, who speak out for themselves and for their community, when you see they tear those men down, but then they uphold and they praise Black men like Kevin Hart, that should tell you everything you need to know. This is how they want the world to see us. And they get a few select Negroes and give them a few bags of cash and get them to do their bidding. And I'm just over it at this point. I am so over it. Brandon says these sellouts are going to know when to walk away from the money, and they need to show the world their moral fortitude and that they have a code of ethics, because they always throw them under the bus in the end. Yes, they do. And my question is, when will they learn? Ray Williams says, good morning, Queen. Kevin Hart is a buck-broken fool bastard, says Ray Williams. Yes, he absolutely is, beloved. He absolutely is. So, I'm going to make this brief because I have another live coming up on the original channel. But at the end of the day, like I say, they don't want to give any credit to strong, masculine Black men. And, here's the thing. The oppressive class, one thing that they fear is a nation, a powerful nation of strong, successful, mentally intellectual Black men leading their community, protecting their women. That's the last thing they need. That's what they don't want. You have all of, and let me tell you something else too that feeds into this foolishness. When you have these Black women who are beaten and attacked by racist devils, like the Black woman in Dallas, Texas, who was beaten by that racist white man a couple of years ago. Remember that? When you have the 50-something-year-old Black woman who was beaten by that racist pig on the side of the road. When you have the homeless Black woman who was beaten by another racist pig in a convenience store. And you have Black men who stand around and watch these things occur, and they don't do anything but pull out their phones and record. That's fine with the oppressive class. That's all they want you to do is pull out your phones and record. See, at the end of the day, they don't care about your recordings because they're going to let the police do what they want to do to Black people anyway. That's what they've always done. They'll continue to do it. And they'll continue to allow Black men to be strung up from trees and then lynched, and then they'll lie and say it was suicides. And they continue to do this because collectively, Black people aren't doing anything about it. You can go out there and protest all you want. That's not doing anything. That's not doing anything. That's just a distraction. You go out there and protest, and then what? The same thing happens again. So what's the use of protesting? But what they're doing, and what people like Kevin Hart is doing, is perpetuating and promoting a society of weakened, watered down, washed up Negroes who won't stand up and defend their women, who won't teach their sons to be men, who won't teach their sons to speak up and speak out for themselves and to step up. That's what they're trying to do, people. So please pay attention. Pay attention. They don't want a warrior class, right? That's not what they want. And so they show you these videos and these images of Lil Nas X, Silly Porter, Terry Crews and his rollers. Terry Crews bowing his head in shame after the man grabbed him in his biscuits and he didn't do anything. I guarantee you, if a Black man had walked up to Terry Crews and stomped on his foot purposely, he'd have knocked that man out. I guarantee you. But the white man grabbed him in his biscuits, he's not going to do anything but whine like a little biatch. That's what he did. And then when DL said, why does he have all those muscles if he's not going to use them? And then he threatened to slap DL Hughley, a Black man. And so this is what we get. This is what they promote. And this is what they use people like Kevin Hart and Oprah. They use them to perpetuate these things. And so it continues to fester. And sadly, I've also seen some Black women who think it's perfectly fine to let their little boys go around here getting bullied, not standing up for themselves, being weak and docile. Let me tell y'all something. All of these stories I have done about Black children being bullied by racists, forced to drink urine, beaten with belts and all that stuff. Did you ever ask yourself, because I did, why these children don't fight back? Why do they just bow their heads in shame? Why do they run away and cry? When I was a kid, little Black boys, I never saw them behave that way. You did something to them, they gave you the business. You see, when I was a child, we were taught to fight back. It seems to me that a lot of Black people, and I'm not saying all Black people, make no mistake, but I'm saying it seems to me that a lot of Black people are teaching their children to be cowards. And a lot of Black people are allowing their children to look up to people like Kevin Hart. And then so you may wonder why they're getting bullied and why they run away and cry instead of putting up their two dukes and fighting back. And that's likely why. Now, Alice says they're weaker than our enslaved ancestors. Yes. Yes, absolutely. Because a lot of parents, and mostly Black women, it's mostly Black women who are raising these boys as single mothers. It's a lot of Black women who are raising their sons as single mothers, and they're allowing them to be weak. They say a woman can't teach a boy to be a man, and no, you cannot. But you can teach him to be strong. You can teach him to be defiant, determined. You can teach him to speak up for himself and to stand up for himself and to fight back. That's what you can do. But a lot of these Black women, they just coddle their sons, and that weakens them. And a lot of them allow their sons to sit around and listen to them and their girlfriends gossip and talk about BS. And so then that makes your sons take on, I'm trying to figure out a nice way to put this. That makes your sons take on female characteristics. That makes them act like little girls rather than boys. That's all I'm saying. That makes them timid and weak. That makes them gossipy. Nothing worse to me than a man who gossips, right? Nothing worse than a man who gossips. And you know where you get these gossipy men from? From single moms who allow their sons to sit there and listen to her and them and their girlfriends gossip. I'm not knocking single mothers because I was a single mother. But at the end of the day, my sons are warriors. They never came home crying because they got into a fight, because someone picked on them, because they knew how to fight back. They knew how to give somebody the business if somebody tried to give it to them. They didn't sit around listening to me gossip. You know why? Because I don't gossip. I never liked gossip, so I never indulged in it. Because to me, it's pointless. It's counterproductive. Why do you care about someone else's business? Mind your own. But that's all some people want to do, is sit around and be negative and gossip. And they allow their children to sit there and listen to them gossiping. And then their children become gossipy. And the little boys act feminine like little girls. They go outside and another boy hits them and they start crying and run in the house and tell mommy. And the mommy pats them instead of saying, get out there and hit him back. Now, I don't promote violence, but I do and always will promote people defending themselves. And you should teach your children to defend themselves, to stand up and speak out for themselves. And you should not have your children sitting there idolizing people like Kevin Hart, because they will be everything other than strong if you do. So anyway, Queen Mommy says, I hated gossipers negatively spewing hatred for their sisters and brothers. Yes. I was taught as a child, if you can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all. Right? Don't feed into the BS. So anyway, I'm going to conclude this, but at the end of the day, Kevin Hart is a very sad little man, in my opinion. Very, very sad little man. When he goes home at night, And he can sit there and think about all the cash that he has. I wonder, does he ever say to himself that I really did a good job to get here to where I'm at? I wonder, is he really proud of himself? Because I'm inclined to think that it's not just his talent that got him to where he is, but it is the fact that he is okay with being used as a pawn against his own people. He's fine with acting as a minstrel or a Sambo. He seems to be fine with that. Now, I just want to know, is he proud of himself for being that way? Is he proud of himself for allowing the supremacists to use him as a tool? And does he not realize that one day when they're done with him, when they're finished with him, they're going to do the same thing to him that they do to all of their tools? And that is to break him. I'm just wondering. So anyway, with that all being said, I'm going to conclude this broadcast. I want to thank you all for tuning Blaque in once again. Please like and share. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. And I'm going live in just a few minutes on the original QueenAShakue show. And honey, because we have to talk about this. We have to talk about this because you know what? I always tell you all about predictive programming, about subliminals, and how the devils, they're always doing something nefarious and they're always busy, right? And so this commercial that I saw came to my attention. And it's a couple of years old, this commercial is, but I just really took a look at it. Because the devils have to always reveal to you what they're doing. And you won't even really catch on to what the devils are doing unless you're looking at it with the third eye, which I call the first eye. So we're going to talk about this commercial that I saw that's very demonic. All right? And I want you all to tell me your thoughts on it. So I hope to see you all in the next chat. Thank you. Thank you, Kumar. I hope I said your name right, beloved. Kumar Muhammad. Thank you. It says great broadcast. So I hope you all will join me in the next chat on the original QueenAShakue show. And I'll be going live on there at 11 o'clock a.m. It's 10:51 now, so that gives me about 9 minutes. Okay, so I'm going to conclude this broadcast. Thank you all for tuning in. I love you all to life. Hope to see you in the next chat. Peace.